So good day to you children. Today we are going to talk about and start a new chapter called as work and energy. Both these physical quantities are related to one another, and as I said before, a physical quantity is one which can be measured. Anything that can be measured is called as a physical quantity, and we can measure work and we can measure energy. So both of them are one of the physical quantities. So first question that arises in our mind is, what is work? What is work? Every day we say that we did this work, that work, and all of that. But scientifically speaking, is that work? Was there any energy spent on that work? For example, you sit at a desk and study. That is work for you. You studied and that is your work. Similarly, you eat something, you drink something. That is also considered to be some kind of work in our day-to-day life. But scientifically, is that work? There is a major difference between what we call or what we know as work in our day-to-day life and what science deems the correct definition of work. According to science, work is done only when it satisfies two conditions, and those two conditions are: first, when a force acts on an object, and second, the object is displaced. If any of these two conditions is not satisfied, then according to science, the work is not done. Say for example, you sit at a desk and study for 4 to 5 hours. There is no force acting and neither is there any displacement. So scientifically, there is no work done. And similarly, when you attend classes, you write exams, you do this, you do that, you do everything, but there is no force acting and there is no displacement taking place. So scientifically, even though you are working so hard, there is not any work done. So mathematically, work is represented as work, W. It is denoted by capital W. Work is equal to force into displacement. F is force and S is, as we know it from previous chapter, S is displacement. It is not speed, it is displacement. And this is the mathematical expression for work. W is equal to F into S. And also the SI unit, since we are writing the equation, then the SI unit of work is joule. This same SI unit is used for energy, joule, which is denoted by capital J. So now let us define work. What is 1 joule of work? Since we are writing equations, then we have to define them. What is 1 joule of work? 1 joule of work is done when 1 joule of work is equal to 1 Newton force into 1 meter displacement. So 1 joule of work is done when a force of 1 Newton acts on an object or acts on a body and displaces it by 1 meter. Then we say that as I said before, then 1 joule of work is done. This is the definition of 1 joule of work. Moving ahead, let us look at an example based on the same. A force of 5 Newton. So given Example 1 from the 11.1 from the chapter. Given a force of 5 Newton. So F is equal to 5 Newton. A force of 5 Newton is acting on an object. The object is displaced through 2 meters in the direction of force. So displacement S is equal to 2 meters. If the force acts on the object all through the displacement, then what is the work done? So work done, as we know, W is equal to F into S, which is equal to 5 into 2, which is equal to 10 joules. So the work done on the object is 10 joules. Therefore, work done is 10 joules. This is the solution. Now think of a situation where our object, say this object, is moving in the particular direction, in this direction to the right. Now a force where this force is retarding, a force in the opposite of the direction of the object acts upon it. So the force is opposite to the direction of motion of the object. So what happens after moving for a few distance, some distance, the object comes to a stop. And the displacement of the object in that time is S. But since the force is acting in the direction opposite to the direction of motion of the object, then we take this force to be equivalent to minus F. This is a retarding force. Then the work done is equal to, will be minus F into S. Minus F into S. This means that when work is negative, it means that the force acting upon the body is retarding, or that the force applied to the body is in the direction opposite to the motion of an object. So this means that work can be both positive and negative. Both kinds of work are possible in science. So when the force acting upon the object is negative, then work will become negative. Now coming to the second example from the textbook, it says that a porter lifts a luggage of 15 kg. So mass of something is given, 15 kg, from the ground and puts it on his head 1.5 meter above the ground. So S is equal to 1.5 meters. Calculate the work done by him on the luggage. So we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration due to gravity. Since the porter is lifting the luggage and keeping it on his head, he is working against the gravity. So force will become nothing but mass into acceleration due to gravity. So take G is equal to 10 meter per second square for simplification purposes. So this implies force is 15 into 10, which is equal to 150 newtons. The force acting on the luggage is 150 newtons and the displacement is 1.5 meters. So the porter is like this. He is keeping the luggage on his head and the displacement or his height is 1.5 meters. So now work is equal to force into displacement, which is equal to 150 newtons into 1.5 meters. So this is nothing but 225 joules. 15 into 15, we get 225 joules. Therefore the work done is 225 joules approximately. This is the required solution. So the next concept of the chapter, we saw that work is done only when a force acts on an object and it is displaced. But now coming to the second concept of the chapter, that is energy. To do some work, in our day-to-day life, for us to carry out various kinds of activities or to do some work, we need what we call as an essential physical quantity, which is also called as energy. Without energy, nothing can be done in our universe only, not just our day-to-day life. Our universe can do nothing without energy. So energy is defined as energy is the capacity to do work. If work has to take place, then we need some amount of energy for that to happen. Otherwise, the work cannot take place. Example, sources of energy. You might have heard that, you might have studied about sources of energy, and sun is our largest natural source of energy. So sun is source of energy. Many of our energy sources are derived from sun, because coal, petroleum, solar energy, nuclear energy, most of these types of different kinds of energies are derived from none other than sun. So now let us consider the example. When a fast moving cricket ball hits a stationary wall, the wicket is thrown away, right? When the cricket ball hits the stumps, the stationary stumps, they are thrown away. Similarly, an object when raised to a certain height gets the capability to do work. If you raise a chalk piece or your pen or pencil to certain height and then release it, it will be displaced. It will be pulled down due to the force of gravity. The force is acting and it is being displaced. Here the work is being done. So when you raise an object to some certain height, it will gain the capacity to do work. Similarly, a raised hammer, when it falls on the nail, it will push it inside the wall or into the piece of a wood where it has been placed. So we have also observed that children winding a toy like tops, buguri antaralvi, so like tops, when children wind the tops and throw them, the tops gain certain energy and start to spin on their axis. And when a balloon is filled with air and we press it, we notice a change in its shape. When we press the balloon, we are applying some force, and since its shape is changing, we can say that the balloon, there is a part of a balloon which is being displaced. So force and displacement, when we observe both of them together, we say that work is done. To do all of this, the objects acquire energy through various means. For example, the pen which has been raised to the height requires its energy due to the height. The hammer which has been raised high also requires its energy by the height only. And the object which does work, another thing is the object which does work loses the energy, and the object on which the work is being done will gain the energy. So an object that possesses energy can exert a force on another object. Force can only be exerted. So the first thing is, force can only be exerted if the objects have energy, and the same energy is passed on to the object on which the force is acting upon. So this is how energy is passed from one object to another object. So energy is the capacity to do work. Without energy, no work can take place. So energy is denoted by capital E, and its SI unit. SI unit of energy once again is also joule. Joule, denoted by capital J. SI unit of work is also joule, and SI unit of energy is also joule. And 1 kilojoule or 1000 joule of energy is equal to 1 kilojoules. It can be written as 1 kilojoules. Now, we have seen that there are various forms of energy, conventional forms and non-conventional forms. But all these different forms of energy can be divided into two main categories. So that is what we are going to look at in our next concept, that is forms of energy. We know that there are various forms like solar energy, wind energy, electrical energy, light energy, sound energy, then atomic energy, nuclear energy, and different tidal energy. There are different kinds of energy which we come across in our day-to-day life. Mechanical energy is also one of the kinds, but all these energies can be derived from two main points or two main types of energies, and those are, one is kinetic energy. The first one is kinetic energy, which is also known as energy of motion. Energy of motion. All the moving bodies possess kinetic energy. Anything that moves has kinetic energy. And the second kind of energy is potential energy. Potential energy. This is also called as energy of rest. Energy of rest or position. Potential energy not just depends on rest, but it also depends on the position of the object. So these are the two main types of energy. So now first let us look at kinetic energy, that is the energy of motion. Kinetic energy. As we saw before, it is the energy of motion. All moving bodies possess kinetic energy. That is why it is called as energy of motion. As the bodies go on moving, they will lose that energy. They will spend that energy. So this kinetic energy can be explained as when a body moves, it can do some work, but a faster moving body can do more amount of work. So the faster you move, the more kinetic energy you have. So that means kinetic energy depends on the speed or the velocity. Kinetic energy depends on speed or velocity of the object. Now let us derive an expression for kinetic energy. Consider an object with mass m moving with an initial velocity u. Let a force F act on this object and displace it by some displacement S. Now the velocity of the object due to the action of force has changed from u to the final velocity v. So now we know that since force is acting upon an object and displacing it, then the work done is equal to force into displacement, force into S. This is our equation 1. Also we know that v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So on transposing and rewriting the equation, we get S is equal to v square minus u square by 2a. This is our second equation. And lastly, we also know that force is equal to mass into acceleration from Newton's second law. This is the third equation. Now put 2 and 3 in equation 1. In equation 1, we get work done is equal to, since kinetic energy is the energy of motion, then the work done is equal to that kinetic energy. So here work done is equal to force into displacement. Force is replaced by the equation 3, that is mass into acceleration into displacement is replaced by equation 2. That is v square minus u square divided by 2a. So a cancels each other. We have half m into v square minus u square. That is the work done. So if our object were to start from an initial position with u is equal to 0, if u is equal to 0, then the work done will reduce to half mv square. So now we also know that the work done is equal to the change in kinetic energy of the object. We can easily say that kinetic energy Ek is equal to W. Therefore, kinetic energy Ek is equal to half mv square. This is the expression for kinetic energy of an object moving with some velocity v and having mass m. This is the expression. Now let us solve example 11.3 from your textbook. That is example 11.3 given. The question is, an object of mass 15 kg is moving with a uniform velocity of 4 meter per second. So given, we know that the mass of the object is 15 kilograms and it is moving with a velocity of 4 meter per second. So what is the kinetic energy of that object? Ek is equal to how much? We know that kinetic energy Ek is equal to half mv square. Substituting the values of mass and velocity, half into mass is 15 into 4 into 4. V square, so 4 into 4. 2 ones are 2s are, we get 15 8s are 120 joules. Therefore, the kinetic energy of the object is 120 joules. Example 11.4. What is the work to be done to increase the velocity of a car from 30 km per hour to 60 km per hour if the mass of the car is 1500 kilograms? So first given, mass of the car is 1500 kilograms. The initial velocity u is equal to 30 km per hour. So converting it into the SI units, u is equal to 30 into 5 by 18. So we will get it to be equal to 25 by 3 meter per second. Similarly, the final velocity of the car is 60 kilometer per hour. Converting it into meter per second, we get v is equal to 60 into 5 by 18, which will be equal to 50 by 3 meter per second. Now, initially the speed of the car was 30 km per hour. So, the initial kinetic energy of the vehicle or the car will be EKI is equal to half mu square, which is equal to half into 1500 into 25 by 3 into 25 by 3, which is equal to 156250 by 3 joules. This is the initial kinetic energy. And next we have the final kinetic energy, that is when the velocity changes to 60 km per hour, then the kinetic energy will be half into mv square, which is equal to half into 1500 into 50 by 3 into 50 by 3, which is equal to 625,000 by 3 joules. As you can see, when the velocity increases, the kinetic energy also increases. Now the work done. Now the work done in changing the velocity is nothing but EKF, that is final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. So which will be equal to 625,000 by 3 minus 156250 by 3. We get the work to be equal to 156250 joules. 1,56,250 joules of energy is required to change the velocity of the car from 30 km per hour to 60 km per hour. So, what is the kinetic energy of an object? As discussed before, kinetic energy is the energy possessed by an object due to virtue of its motion. Write an expression for kinetic energy of an object. We know that it is Ek is equal to half mv square. And lastly, the kinetic energy of an object of mass m moving with a velocity of 5 meter per second is 25 joules. What will be its kinetic energy when its velocity is doubled? What will be its kinetic energy when its velocity increases by 3 times? Kinetic energy when velocity is double, kinetic energy increases 4 times, whereas when the velocity is tripled, then the kinetic energy increases by 9 times. That's all for today. Thank you.